I don't really think time exists. I think it's just a way we schedule our lives. And it's just a way we kind of like monitor our aging process. I don't think it really matters in the big picture.
Time is both elusive and a grind.
Time is both.
Day-to-day
time is mine. Don't waste what I own.
The only constant in
Be
life.
balanced.
Time is moving too
Time is
quickly.
every individual
There's so much to experience. Let's do the time warp. So wish me now that I'm a mother. Time is odorless, tasteless, intangible, and invisible. So how can we be sure it's really there?
5 times a week.
Clocks tell time, but clocks are not time.
Time is the measure of time.
And so it seems that time, in any empirical sense, does not exist. Scratch that. Time is a human creation.
How long ago were you a baby?
A lot. The whole time in my life.
In 1916, Einstein published a paper on special relativity in which he proved that events happening simultaneously to one observer are not necessarily happening simultaneously to another.
How long does it take you to eat breakfast? Minutes. But I want pancakes.
How old are you?
5 years old.
How long is 5 years?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm Elsa. I'm 6 and 10. I think I'm 10 quarters. School is like an hour, so it's really slow. So it's kind of boring. I have nothing to do at all. Homework is kind of bored. When you're bored, time goes really slow, and when you're having fun, time goes really fast.
Well, when somebody says the word time, what do you think of?
I think of a clock.
A clock.
Back to the Future. Small film, 1984?
The Rolling Stones. That song, you know, Time's on My Side.
I think of more of a schedule of things to do.
Something that is undefinable, perhaps, in any way. You can observe it happening, but I think of something that cannot be defined.
Life is time. Time is life. If that makes sense.
I just want to have a good time.
Have a good time.
That's all.
Anyone's legacy is what people remember about you. Did you influence them in a positive way?
And think about the hearts that I touched and that touched me. I feel that in the truest sense that I'll live forever.
Our perception as far as defining time in physics also began to change around the 1870s, when Boltzmann introduced the concept of irreversibility, which means certain processes favor changing in a certain direction. For example, an ice cube at room temperature will melt over time, but this water will not turn back into an ice cube.
We think we all live
time is linear and that it keeps on going, but I think it's
condenses and is distorted.
There were some kind of circular time that would mess up what we believe is the arrow of time, which comes from what's called the second law of thermodynamics. Basically has to do with thermal energy and how that energy is conserved or used up.
I honestly think that time is not linear and it's more of one moment existing in the universe.
That's an interesting perspective. One single moment, you think that's it.
Precisely.
The Buddha teaches to just be aware of the present only.
We believe in what they call karma. You do good, you get good back. We believe in rebirth. That's why we try to do good.
If you believe that depends on the paths you take, it could be reincarnation.
I do believe in reincarnation. I believe we did come back.
What do you think you're coming back as?
I don't know. But I believe everything rolls in a circle. Doesn't mean you come back as a person.
So what are you coming back as, a butterfly?
The greatness of that, not knowing, is that we should all treat time as being very precious. Especially when you're young, you think you're immortal.
I think that you die and worms eat you.
If you want to accomplish a lot, then you will have time to accomplish it. But you can think about it that you accomplish everything during the same amount of time. It's just time expanded.
I associate energy with time.
and time are related.
We're made up of energy. That's what we are. We're vibration. And the world was created with a vibration.
I had this really weird dream that I was at school and I was eating grapes, and suddenly like this thing happened. It was like, it's time for outside already. I thought we already had outside time.
There's times when I've only been asleep for like 30 minutes and it seems like I had the dream for like 2 or 3 hours.
Time in dreams seems very much like the real world, where minutes click by, seconds click by, but then sometimes it's instantaneous, that time has no purpose in dreams.
It feels like real time in the dream, but then you wake up and you're like, that didn't happen.
In dreams, I think time changes. We tap into the unconscious.
Everybody probably experienced the moments when you go to sleep for maybe seconds, but
thousands of years could go by in a dream state.
Maybe it is.
And that could be time just as if you just closed your eyes and went to sleep an hour ago.
People ask me almost every day, do you have time? My response is always the same. So yeah, I have time. I have the same amount of time every day. There's 24 hours in a day, so do I have
time? Concepts of time from the ancient Hindu involve a theory that the average American will most likely not be able to grasp, mostly because it goes hand in hand with distance and the repetition of certain numbers, such as multiples of 6, 12, 24, 36, 60, 360, and 600. These incredible ideas involve the individuals and the ancient culture moving, living, and breathing in unison with the earth and the stars. Astrology, as well as distance, played a major role in their paradigm of time concept. Nature is a key artifact in the Hindu philosophy because the culture associates their lives, as well as time, one with the cosmos. As Americans who use the metric system, derived from the French Revolution, we totally disassociate cycles of the universe with that of our perceived time. Keeping track of the time was more than just calculations to ancient cultures, as it was a way that human beings could weave themselves into the systematic universal scheme. The metric system makes calculations easy, but disassociates us from a frame linked with the cosmos.
Think about the Indian context. The assumption is that time is actually cyclical. So there's 4 yugas in which the universe is created, grows, and then goes into decline. And those 4 yugas are millions and millions of years. So the universe itself goes through process of creation and destruction on a very, very large scale.
When we sit and talk about the Big Bang and how far back the Big Bang happened, it just goes back to Hubble back in 1929, made first measurements to show that various galaxies were receding away from us, and therefore, since they were receding away from us, we have this idea that the universe is expanding. And if you run the clock backwards, you think about the universe contracting. If you go back in time and you ask, all right, so when did it start?
In Buddhism, it also assumes this kind of cycle, but
in terms of time, it's no relation. One can practice Buddhism, but then doesn't reach Nibbana forever.
The idea is that there is an interconnection between things.
The concept of the absolute truth and conventional truth make more clear about the concept of the time.
It's called dependent origination.
People make it conventional for about 1 day, out of 1 month, or 1 year.
Sciences, we need to be fairly quantitative.
In fact, the absolute truth is just going on. That impermanent thing is changing.
We find how we measure time over the years, from astronomical times to atomic.
Atom is conventional truth too. If we separate it, it became EMC square, energy.
It's the idea that everything that arises does so in dependence on other causes and conditions.
We call paper, we call wood, we call money, but in fact it's just nothing, emptiness.
Time freaks me out if I think about it in relation to myself, but fascinates me if I think about it and spiritually in relation to the universe. I picture a great sphere of energy from which all life source is drawn to, in existence because of what it draws back from. And I am one with it and have ability to connect to it, manipulate it to the smallest of scales, and manipulate my own reality back through the loop.